The connection is not stable. Okay, so I've already told you there is only one seller and there are no close substitutes available for it. Okay, so there is no choice given to the consumers, right? So there is no single firm here. Firm, the word firm and industry, they are both the same. Yes, Arya, what happened?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that, like, there are no close substitutes for railways. We can use other means of transport
You
such
can
as
use
buses.
other means of transport, but there is no close substitute for railway. Like you don't have any private thing going as railways. If you want to travel,
Okay,
if you
so
want to travel, you can take bus, you can take
yes.
airplane. But both the means of transport are different. Bus will take a longer time, and everybody can't afford air flight. Okay, so railways are considered for normal people. Normal
Okay,
people can take railways easily. There is no substitute for railway. Okay, that is why
okay,
for railways, and nobody else is there. You do
yes.
not have private trains running, right?
Ma'am,
So
so they
yes,
are asking about the like private, like in the means, in that mean of transport, there is no other
there is
substitute
no other
like the
substitute,
railway.
right?
Okay.
Closely related to railways, nothing else is there. Okay. Okay, so what are the special characteristics? What are the features of monopoly? Single seller, nobody else there. There is no close substitute available. I have already told you, right? Restrictions of entry of new firms, because there is only one seller in the system. He will restrict the entry of other firms. Okay, it is a monopoly. Everything is under one person. Okay, firm is a price maker. In perfect competition, it was the price taker. The play of demand and supply sets the price and gives it to the firm. But in case of a monopoly, he is the price maker. He decides the price. Okay, but he does not have a control over demand. That is, demand constraint is there. What is the meaning of this line? That he does not have, he has total control over supply because he is the only seller there. Okay, but he does not have. Yes, Arya.
Ma'am, may I answer?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. So, like, there is demand constraint, meaning like he has the control. He can supply as much as he wishes, but like he cannot force people to like take that uh,
Yes.
product or a
Yes.
commodity
For
if they wish they
examples,
will.
yes, railways only. People, they cannot force people to take railways, right? So there is a demand constraint, but he can supply whatever amount he wishes to supply. Okay, that is the meaning of he has no control over demand, but total control over supply, right? It is his wish he can sell more at a less price, and in the end, in monopoly, because he is the only seller, he takes abnormal profits in the long run. In perfect competition, it was normal profits, right? But in monopoly, he will take away abnormal profits. Okay, now price discrimination. Price discrimination is a concept wherein different price are charged for the same commodity. Okay, now because he is monopoly, he can do that. He can have price discrimination. He can charge different prices from different set of consumers. Yes, we do that in railways. Sometimes railways gives concession to students, but for the same journey they charge other money from other people, right? So they can do that. As a monopoly, he can do that. He can charge for the same thing different prices from different consumers. And if that is the case, that this situation is known as discriminating monopoly. Okay, if he is discriminating for the same amount or for the same commodity, right? So say for 100 kilometers, with from one consumer he is charging 1,000 bucks. Okay, so students he is giving a concession of 20%. To senior citizens he is giving a concession of 40%. So he is discriminating among consumers. So this is known as discriminating monopoly. Okay.
Um,
Yes.
what do you mean by restrictions on the entry of new firms? Like we studied earlier, it was that you are allowed to go in
In perfect competition, because there is no restriction there. when the sellers see abnormal profits for some commodity, they can easily enter that market and start producing that commodity. But for a monopoly, because it is in the hand of a single producer, he does not allow entry of any other firm, right? He is making abnormal profit. That is why he has a monopoly over it. He has monopoly over the factors of production also, and over the commodity also. So he does not allow entry of new firms into it. Okay. Indian Railways will never allow anybody else to come in. Will they allow? No, they will not allow. So it is a government sector. So anyways you can't. And even if in other any other field, if you have a monopoly in that field, you will not allow, because then your profits are cut if you allow somebody else to come in. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now in this case, your demand curve, that is your AR curve, average revenue curve, it is a downward sloping curve. The normal curve that we study, a downward sloping curve, it is a downward sloping curve. That means more can be sold at less price only. He has control over supply, but he does not have control over demand. So if he increases the price, he will sell lesser quantity only, because the consumers will buy less quantity at a higher price. Okay, he does not have any control over demand, so people can do it, that they go in for lesser quantity. Okay, and demand curve faced by monopoly firm is less elastic. Why is it less elastic? Because there are no close substitutes available. So even if he increases the price, the quantity demanded decreases by a lesser degree, right? Is it clear? If he increases the price by 10%, maybe the quantity demand will go down, but maybe it goes down by 2% only or 3% only. Okay, so because of absence of close substitutes, the demand curve, although it is negatively sloped, but it is less elastic. Okay, so even if he increases his price, he does not lose much of his sale, because the degree of quantity supplied is less. It is lesser than the price that he has increased. Is this clear? Are these points clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we will have a demand curve like this. Less elastic. Again, it's got a less elastic demand curve will be like this. Everybody can see initial price, if you take as P2 right here, so his quantity supplied was Q2. Okay, but when he increases to P1, see the increase, it's quite an increase, but the quantity supplied is not by that degree, it has not decreased by that much degree. Okay, it has come down to Q2 only. So the demand curve already, although it is a downward sloping curve, the way normally a demand curve is, but it is less elastic. Okay, so he will supply, if he increases the price, the quantity demanded decreases, but less, by a lesser degree. Clear to all of you? Any
Yes,
doubt
ma'am.
in this
No,
demand
ma'am.
curve? Okay. Now this was monopoly. So you have to learn, when you learn, you have to learn the conditions, and you have to learn finally. And finally, I forgot to write one more thing. I've already told you that in the long run, they get abnormal profits. Okay, so three conditions: the demand curve is inelastic, although it is downward sloping, there is only one seller, there is no close substitute, and the last is, in the long run, they get abnormal profits. So these conditions are there for monopoly. Okay, clear to all of you? Now let's go to the next, which is monopolistic competition. As the name suggests, it is a mix of monopoly and competition. So it will have features of competition, perfect competition also, and it will have some features of monopoly also. Okay, in real life situation, monopoly, I've given you an example. Most of the time you will find monopolistic competition and oligopoly, the next one that we are going to study. Okay, perfect competition is nowhere to be found. This term monopolistic competition was coined by Professor Chamberlain. Okay, now this, what, yes Arya?
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes, in
Ma'am,
monopoly.
yeah, on page 112,
Just wait a
Uh,
second. 112. Okay.
yes, ma'am. Under monopolistic competition,
Hmm.
that imperfect competition and all that, is it important?
Monopolistic competition. We are just going to start with monopolistic competition.
No, ma'am. Imperfect competition. It's the same or different?
Where are you seeing imperfect competition?
Ma'am, that this paragraph. Just one second, I will show.
Under monopolistic competition.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is just a name of monopolistic competition. It is also known as imperfect competition. And there are types,
Ma'am,
right? Yes, when you go into higher classes, you will learn more. I told you these are the four basic types of market structure, right? You have more. You have duopoly, you have oligopoly, you have monopoly, more like these. But you don't have to worry about this. These are just terms that you should remember. Okay,
yes,
is
ma'am.
it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. Mhm. Okay, so monopolistic competition is a market situation where there are large number of buyers and sellers selling closely related goods but not homogeneous. Okay, in perfect competition we had that they were selling homogeneous products. That means packaging, their size, everything was same. There was nothing different in any product. But actually that does not happen, right? Some difference is there, and there are large number of buyers and seller selling the same commodity with a little bit of different, whatever different. Even if we are selling salt, the packaging is different. Yes or no? Okay, so it is that situation where you will have a large number of buyers and sellers, but the sellers are selling closely related products, not homogeneous, closely related. So you have got a situation where there are substitutes available easily. Okay, is it clear? Now let's see the features. Now there are 2-3 examples given in your book. One I have already given you, salt. There are so many types of salts available. Even if they are all iodized salt, they are all iodine normal salt only. Their packaging is different, right? They claim that this is different or that is different. It is dehydrated and it is the whatever it is. They are close substitutes of each other. Okay. The same is with the toothpaste industry. So many types of toothpaste available, whether it is herbal or whatever, Sensodyne or Colgate, their packaging is different, their brand name is different, right? You know, most of the toothpaste are made with the same stuff, but they claim this clove is there or whatever is there. Their claims are different in that. Okay. Then soaps. They have two examples are given in your book, soaps and toothpaste. Both of them same, different brand name, different packaging, different claims they have, but chemical composition is same for all. Yes or no? Little bit of differences are there. So they are not homogeneous. They have differences in whatever way you can take. Okay. So first point is large number of buyers and sellers. The number of sellers is sufficiently large. Not large like perfect competition, but it is sufficiently large. Okay. Each seller is independent and produces an insignificant portion of total output. So when you take the total output of an economy, each seller, suppose take Colgate will sell a very insignificant part of that total output. Yes or no?
yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, because there are so many sellers in the market. So they do not have monopoly over their any area. And there is competition there because there are many sellers. So there is competition in the market. Okay. Second is, I have already told you, product differentiation. This is a very unique feature of monopolistic competition, that there is product differentiation, right? They are similar to each other, but they are not identical. Whether you take the market for tea, you take the market for coffee, you take the market for toothpaste, you take the market for these home products that you have, cleaning products or soaps, detergents, they all are similar to each other, right? The work is same. If you are taking detergents market, all the detergents are going to claim that they clean their clothes. Okay, so they are similar to each other, but they are not identical to each other. Okay, products are close but not perfect substitute. They are close to each other, some odd difference might be there, so therefore they are not perfect substitutes for each other, right? So there exists monopoly in terms of brand name, competition in terms of, Arya, just a second, competition in terms of large number of sellers selling similar products. Yes, Arya.
Ma'am, so like everything is at least little bit different from each
Yes,
other.
yes,
So
little bit different from each other.
so do the producers do it purposely?
Yes, of course they are doing it purposely.
Like, is it to increase the sales? Like, why do they do it exactly?
Yes, they do it for this only. Why do the different brand of detergents claim that they are better for the clothes? Right? Chemically, they would be same only. There would be little bit of difference. Somebody is adding something, somebody is adding a, maybe the amount in which they add might differ, right? But they are not prop. They are close substitutes of each other. You can do with Ariel if you are not finding Surf, or Surf suddenly increases its price, you will shift to Ariel. Yes, but they are not exactly same. And because all the sellers have a very small amount of market in their hold, right? So they want to increase their sale, and for increasing, all the sellers, all the producers, they are working for what? Profit motive only. That is their main concern, right? To increase their profit, to increase their sales, and reduce their cost of production. So all this is because of that only. Okay. Next feature, just what is the last one? Huh. Product differentiation. Then you have the next feature is free entry and exit of firms, right? In this also, like perfect competition, there is no restriction. New firms can enter if they see that abnormal profits are being taken away by firms. They will be attracted towards these. They can, and there is no restriction on exit of firm. If any firm is not able to sustain itself in the market, it is incurring losses, it will exit the market. Okay, so therefore, because there is free entry and exit, all in the long run will have normal profit only and not abnormal profit. Okay, in the short term, some of the firms might get abnormal profit. Seeing those profit, other firms will come into the market, and because of that, in the long run, all of them will have normal profits only. Okay, clear?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, but it can also happen like if someone is facing abnormal profits, like there will be lot of competition. So some companies won't be able to like,
Sustain themselves.
yeah. So
They will leave. So there is no problem, na? They can easily exit, they can easily enter. There is no restriction on leaving the market. Okay.
ma'am, but then their profit will increase, no, like what it was before.
So that is why, na, see, when some of the firms are making abnormal profits, new firms are going to come in the market. Okay, and then their profit will decrease. Obviously, when new firms are coming in the market, they will come with some sales strategy. They will give you some concession. Some sales strategy is there. Yes. So
Yes, ma'am.
they will take away some part of profit, right? And in the long run, everybody is having only normal profit. The same goes with firms which are not taking away any profit, they are actually incurring losses. Those firms will leave the market. When they exit the market, it is only those firms left which are making normal profits. So in the long run, whether it is a abnormal, whether in the short run they were making abnormal profit or they were incurring losses, in the long run they will all have normal profit only, because those who were having losses will exit the market. Okay, right. Now there
Yes,
is one more. Okay, one more term that comes in is selling cost. Okay, now what is the selling cost? Now, since there is a lot of competition in the market, there are large number of buyers in the market, they will spend money on advertisement. Yes or no? They will, because they want to promote their sales. In perfect competition, if you remember, we had one assumption that nothing, everything else is, there are no other costs. Yes, other than your factor of production. Yes or no? Remember the conditions? But in this, that condition is not there, right? That is why the term selling cost is there. They incur selling cost, and this selling cost is the amount of money that they are spending on advertisement, right? Because they want to increase their profit, right? Now, because this selling cost is something other than a change in price, yes or no? A change in price, if the price is constant but you have other changes, what happens to the demand curve?
Ma'am, it will shift to the right.
Yes, the entire demand curve shifts. Yes, whether to the right or the left. In this case, because it has incurred a cost, the entire demand curve shifts to the right. Okay. Now, selling cost important because through advertisements only, firm can inform the buyers about the features of their products. It helps in promoting sales, and buyers can compare different brands for any product, right? That is the importance of selling cost. So this is a new term which comes in a monopolistic competition, that they have selling cost. They incur selling cost. Okay. Then the next is non-price competition. Now, what is non-price competition?
Ma'am,
Right. Non-price competition is, there is a lot of competition in the market, but this competition happens among the sellers without changing their price. Okay. This is known as non-price competition. That means uh, they incur a lot of expenditure on advertisements so that they can inform the buyer that there is a new product, or they have these features different from the substitute that is available in the market, but generally they do not change the price of their product. It is through the selling cost only that they try to increase their sales. Okay. Is it
ma'am,
clear to you? Yes.
like I did not understand the last part. They keep the price same, but they increase the like.
Have you ever seen, sometimes only they when there's seasonal sales are going on, sometimes when one of the firm says ki we are giving 10% discount, the other will also immediately offer you either a discount or something else with it. Yes or no?
Yes, yes,
But normally, whenever these advertisements, so many advertisements, have you seen them changing their price for the product? If they
no,
change the price of their product, see, if they decrease the price of the product, the close substitutes will also immediately decrease, right? Increase will not happen because there are close substitutes available in the market. If they increase their prices, people demand will shift towards the close substitute. So they actually do not do anything to the price. It is through these advertisements, the selling cost that they are incurring, that they try to increase
that
the
will decrease
sale.
the price of the.
Yes, that they try to increase the sale. But to
Okay.
the price, they actually can't do anything because of the large number of sellers they have in the market. Right?
Yes,
Is
yes,
it clear to you?
yes, yes.
Now, there is one term given here, product irrigation.
Ma'am,
Yes, where were we?
Ma'am, privacy key.
Non-price. Then imperfect knowledge. Sir, remember in perfect competition, we had learned that they have this buyers and sellers, they have perfect knowledge about everything in the market. Yes, there was a condition of perfect competition, but in monopolistic competition, they do not have perfect knowledge, right? And it is there in the real world also. You do not have perfect knowledge of everything. Can you have perfect knowledge of everything? Because of product differentiation, because it is difficult to compare the prices of different products because of these advertisements that create a superiority in the mind of people. When you look at advertisements, they try to project all the good positive things about their commodities, right? Yes or no? Why would somebody prefer one brand, maybe Horlicks to Bonvita? Because of the advertisement, right? So they create a superficial, artificial superiority about their product, and that is why there is imperfect knowledge in the market. The buyers, they do not have a perfect knowledge of the product. Okay, all these features are clear to all of you,
yes, ma'am.
right? So how is the demand curve under monopolistic competition going to be? It is downward sloping, and it is highly elastic. Why highly elastic? Because there are a number of close substitute available. So if one of the firm increases the price, its quantity demanded will decrease by a larger amount, okay, by a larger percentage. So in this case, in perfect competition, how is your demand curve? It was horizontal, it was perfectly elastic, so there was only one price. In monopoly, it was downward sloping but inelastic because there were no close substitute available. But in monopolistic competition, because there are close substitutes available, people can easily switch from one product to another, and therefore they have a highly elastic demand curve. Clear? Should I explain the demand curve? I don't think I need to explain the demand curve. Do I need to? No? Then Krishna will explain this demand curve. Krishna, explain a highly elastic demand curve. We are about to end the meeting, Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Krishna, quickly, only 40 seconds left.
40 seconds.
Okay, tomorrow when we start the class, Krishna is going to start with explaining the highly elastic demand curve. Okay? Yes? How in
Yes,
a
ma'am.
monopolistic competition, it is a highly elastic demand curve. Okay?